How's it going, everybody? In our next feature, we are going to talk about some of the features that Spanning Tree has to help get better optimization in our Spanning Tree domain. So, recently you received a memo from the network design team regarding further STP optimization and security. Specifically, they have requested you to implement the following features in the Layer 2 network. All ports connected to the lobby should run bpduguard to prevent against Spanning Tree attacks. So that's going to be in the VLAN lobby. So we're going to have to check our map to see where that is. All ports connected to the conference room should run root guard to prevent suboptimal forwarding due to bridge priority misconfigurations. All ports connected to the cafeteria should run bpdufilter to not send or receive Spanning Tree packets. All trunk ports should run loopguard and UDLD to prevent against unidirectional links. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to pull up our drawing here, figure out where is the lobby. Obviously the lobby, we're going to have to go and plug into switch 1 to figure out where the which VLAN the lobby is. Oop. Too far. We're going to do a show VLAN, and we have lobby is going to be VLAN 100. So what we're going to do, all ports connected to the lobby, so we're going to connect fast 1, 10, 11. So we're going to go to global config and type in interface range, fast 0/1, fast 0/10, fast 0/11. I'm going to type in here, we're going to do Spanning Tree, bpduguard, and we have to type in enable to turn it on. Now that that's turned on, so if a switch tries to connect to this port, it'll go down. bpduguard will put a port into error disabled mode if a BPDU is received. Now there is a command that's a little more, in my opinion, better, but if you type in Spanning Tree port fast bpdu guard default, that command, what it will do is it'll pick and choose which ports need to be what. Port fast will put every port on the switch that is not connected to a trunk in port fast mode. It'll put bpduguard in, and it will automatically detect a BPDU received in. It'll put it into shutdown mode. There's one other different command that's called same command except where you flip out bpduguard with bpdufilter. What bpdufilter does is it prevents BPDUs from being sent and received if you just configure that command. If you use bpduguard default, it will receive BPDUs, but it will not send any it won't send any BPDUs, but it will if it receives one in, it will automatically transition the ports out of port fast into the forwarding mode. So it'll send, and if it receives, it'll automatically transition out of forwarding mode. That really doesn't make a difference at this point. I'm just trying to follow along with what they have here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that same command and we're going to go all the switches. And we're going to go to show VLAN. What do we have configured in? Nothing in the lobby. And pull this guy up. Is this necessary? Yes, it is. You'd be surprised. As a matter of fact, I was at a client site about 2 weeks ago. It was a Saturday night, about 8 o'clock, and Friday night at about 5 o'clock. I get to the site, and the client was the flip over was going to be pretty quick, and in the process of doing that, we noticed that there was a couple people just hanging out in the conference room. So we went into the conference room to see what was going on. Lo and behold, they had 4 people plugged into one of those Netgear 8-port gigabit switches. They plugged it in, and they were about to come tell me that the network was down. And I'm like, well, you're not supposed to be on the network. And they're like, well, what? And I'm like, yeah, you shouldn't be on the network. So right here we have lobby. Nobody's in the lobby except for port switch 1. So cool. So we did that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to each device. Now what ended up happening was, on their particular situation, I looked at the switch port, or the port in the room. I took that name, whatever it was, and I went into the server room, and I found the port that was associated to that, traced it back to the switch. I went from trunk line, going from the conference room back to the patch panel to the switch, and then that's when I was able to log into the switch and see the port was an error disable, because it detected a BPDU and it shut the port down. And so I looked at the boss. I said, so what do you want me to do? And he goes, leave it down. I'll send him home. I said, okay. So he sent them packing, and I went in, and what I did at that point was I configured the port security on the interface. I found all the ports that were in a conference room, or potentially could have a switch plugged into them. And what I did was I typed in spanning tree bpdufilter, so it took it out. But what it would do is I set up SNMP to where it'll send me an email every time, or send him an email every time it does it. I told about guard and it would shut the port down. He goes, no, don't do that. He's like, that'll just become a pain in the neck. So, but anyway, it says all ports connected to the conference room should run root guard. So, let's see here. Let's go to switch 1, because obviously nothing here. Show VLAN. And the conference room doesn't have anything in it, so let's go switch 2. Now it's just a matter of figuring out who's where. Show VLAN. Show VLAN. Conference room 10 and 11. So we're going to go to interface range fast 0/10 and 11. We'll type in spanning tree guard root. And then hit, that's it. And let's see here, cafeteria. Let's see here, cafeteria, show VLAN. Where's the cafeteria? Now we're just jumping around to figure out what VLANs are where. Nothing in the cafeteria. Excuse me. Switch 3. Nope, nothing there. Let's see, telnet to 192.168.1.64. Show VLAN. And 10 and 11. Config T, interface range, fast 10 through 11. And we're going to put these guys, spanning tree, bpdu filter, enable. And then what we're going to do on every switch is we're going to do show interface trunk. And we have 13, 18, and 20. So config T, interface range, fast 0/13, fast 0/18, fast 0/20. We're going to type in spanning tree loop guard loop. And then what we're going to do is we're going to, I believe it is, what are my other options? UDLD is in there. UDLD. And then there's, you can port, and then you have aggressive. Let me explain UDLD briefly. Where's my, there we go. What this basically does, get rid of all this chicken scratch here that I've done. Basically what UDLD does is it's unidirectional link detection, typically for fiber optic connections. But what basically this does is you have, it checks for layer 1. So you have the CR for carriage return, so I could just type it in. This would be normal. So I'd be like, if there was a unidirectional link, what it would do is it would automatically just go, oh, hey, there's a link down. To let you want to know. That's all I would do. It's more of a, hey, just to let you know. TLD Aggressive, what it will do is it will send 8 layer 2 ping. So 8 layer 2 keep alive, if you will. From here to this guy to see if the interface is actually down. If it's down, then it will send a trigger an update. So aggressive, and then you hit the enter, and that's all it will do. If it detects a unidirectional link, it'll automatically start to do something about it, and then it'll trigger up an update and say, hey, there's a link, do something about it. So now we do a show interface trunk. It's not going to show us anything here, but if we do a show run interface fast 0/13, we have guard loop and UDLD port aggressive. So that's that. So now we're going to go to switch 3 and do the same thing. We're going to type in exit, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do I'm going to grab these two commands right here and do a show interface trunk and do config t interface range fast 1/0/13 fast 1/0/17 fast 1/0/20. And I'm just going to copy this stuff in and drop down, and there we have it. So I'm going to go to switch 2, and if you're going to do this in like a lab environment, this is probably about the fastest way to do it. Show interface trunk 13, 14, 21, 23. That can't be right. Oh yeah, it is. So config t interface range fast 0/13 through 14. Fast 0/21. Fast 0/23. Oh yeah, this is crap again. I'm gonna type right click and do the exact same thing for switch 1. Same ports, config t interface range fast 0/13 through 14, fast 0/22, fast 0/0/23. Alright, yep, and right click. One thing I love about right click. And there we have it. So, that's that. We're going to do a show, yeah, that's it. Now the next one's going to be, that's it for spanning tree features. The next one's going to be ether channeling, and I bet you that's going to be later. Anyway, it might have us add some ports in, and if we do, that's fine. So, as we've gone through, we've explained, well, I've explained, you've gone along with me on how this actually works. The way that it's set up is we have bpduguard set up to prevent against spanning tree attacks in the lobbies, so that nobody can just plug in a random port, switch into a random port. Conference room is a root guard, so that it will not be able to have a superior BPDU received in on the interface to potentially take down the network. And then we have bpdufilter is not going to send or receive spanning tree packets. And then we have root guard or loop guard and UDLD set up to prevent layer 2 loops and such. So that's pretty much it. I hope this has been informative for you. I'd like to thank you for viewing.